I asked a question on the MLP forums, and the question I asked mainly was, do you, the people out there, the fan base, the bronies, the Pega sisters, do you have people out there that still don't understand why you like My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, even after you have admitted it? About a month ago, it seems about that now, I went on Facebook Live, and I admitted in front of the world, or at least family and friends anyway, that I was a friend of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. A fan, I should say. And of course, I expected to get teased about it a little bit by my siblings, at least my older sister, and indeed I was. But it seems that they've kind of toned it down a little bit, because even they have probably realized that I'm not the only fan out there. And it's a fact. I mean, if you take a look, and I'm hoping they did, look online to a lot of the fan base, not a lot of fan base, but look online as to the adult fan base, they'll be very surprised to see how many adult fans are out there. But still, my oldest sister, and maybe my second oldest sister, still kind of find it a little strange. True, I'll have my only niece, and maybe my mom and a few others stand up and say, look, there's nothing wrong with what they like. That's their business. But still, there are those that find it kind of strange. And a lot of people would probably ask why that is, even after they've admitted to liking it. Why would people still find it strange? And I think the main answer to that is technically, My Little Pony Friendship is Magic was originally intended to be a show for little kids, mainly young girls. And that's 100% true. But I think what happened is when Lauren Faust took over, one of her goals was to make the show beyond what its original targeted audience was about. In other words, she wanted to make the show that yes, its original intentions and original targeted audience are young girls or young boys, but at the same time make something that the entire family could probably enjoy together. In other words, she wanted to do apparently what she had done with the Powerpuff Girls when she worked on that. And, well, we all saw with the original Powerpuff Girl run how that kind of transcended beyond its original target audience and how it became a phenomenon in its own right. She wanted to apply that same strategy, that same thought process to Friendship is Magic. And what do you know? That's exactly what happened. We basically lightning struck twice as far as Lauren Faust is concerned. And by picking out some of the best writers and creative staff that she knows could carry the ball, for this show and make it popular to the point that it would be able to transcend beyond its original target audience, people will have to say she's done a good job in doing that. But even so, there are still a lot of people, even to this day, that question why so many adult fans, men and women, husbands, wives, college students, you name it, why this male, females, you name it, why they're so into My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. And I think the reason being is when you take a look at some of the stories that they write for the episodes, a lot of us can relate to them. Firebrand, real name Josh Scorcher, I recently saw just moments ago a top 10 personal list that he had done, where he basically talked about how each episode that he listed there affected him in some way, affected him basically in a positive way, or made him realize certain things that he probably didn't realize in the first place, and it helped change his personal life for the better. And when you have someone, and by the way, Firebrand Josh Scorcher is a military veteran, or in the military, kind of on and off, I guess, a military veteran. When you have someone like that come out and do a top 10 personal list, it kind of shows you the effect that this show has had. I mean, when you think about it, it goes back to what I said before when I admitted why I was a fan. You take a look at all the shows, live action, animated, whatever, that are broadcast on over the air, cable, streaming, on demand. You take a look at all these shows, live action or animated, and not all of them have what is needed, and not all of them have what is needed to connect with the audience. You see, when young girls and young boys watch My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, the lessons sometimes, the meaning, the morals, they might go over their head because all they care about is, what are they going to advertise next for the next toy? Or for what will be the next accessory or the next toy figure or whatever that's going to be added. Because they only look at that, they don't realize, they don't pay attention to the message, to the moral that the episode is giving out. But yet, when you take a look at this older fan base, the adult fan base, we get it. We understand it. And I think that's where in a sense, that's what a lot of people that still don't get why the adult fan base out there loves My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Why there are bronies out there. Why there are Pegasisters out there. Why there is a community of millions among millions that love this show. It's because, like I said, sometimes a majority of the episodes will have stories in there that when you watch that episode, the moral, the story, the lesson, the message, it will go over the heads that basically it might go over the heads of its intended younger audience. But when it comes to that older audience, the parents, the brothers and sisters, the uncles, the aunts, the college students, the moms, the dads, that message will be read loud and clear. And that's one thing that I think those that don't quite get it yet don't see. You see, they have to sit down and maybe with a selected amount of episodes given to them with messages and morals and stories that they can understand there for them to watch, maybe then they can understand, oh, this is why people like it. I get it. I like the message. I like the moral. I'll give you a recent example. Even though it's not been aired here in the U.S. yet, The Perfect Pair is probably one of the best episodes the series has ever produced. One of the best. Emotionally, heartfelt, you name it. But here's the thing. Young kids, the original target audience, may not get the message of the episode. They may not understand the message of the episode, and instead, to them, they're seeing the two newest pony figures in Bright Mac and Pear Butter, aka Buttercup. That's all they see. They don't see, like I said, they don't see the emotion in it. They don't see, in a sense, the realism that gets related. All they see is the next figures that they can buy. They don't see this. They don't see the message. They don't see the story. They don't feel the emotional weight that this episode gives. But yet, when the adult fan base sees it, when the adult fan base and community of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic sees it, they get it. They understand it. They can relate to it. Because they could feel the emotion. They could feel the realism drawn out of that. So when you have episodes like that, when you show people that may not understand why adults out there, well, like I said, millions among millions or thousands among thousands of adult fans like the show, that kind of episode, The Perfect Pair, that's the kind you could sit them down and have them watch, and then maybe they'd get an understanding. You can have them sit down and watch episodes like The Main Attraction from season 5. They can get a better understanding. You can get an episode like Amending Fences from season 6. They can get an understanding. You could get an episode like Hearthbreakers from season 5, I believe. Yeah, season 5, Hearthbreakers, which is a Christmas episode. Sit them down and they would watch and understand. The point I'm getting at is the reason I believe people still question why there are adult fans out there. Why adults like myself like the show, why we become fans of the show, is because they don't see the story elements given to it. They don't see how relatable some stories can be. And it doesn't just have to be because there's a lesson to be learned at the end or a moral or a message to be given at the end. No. Sometimes the story itself is just good enough to where you're like, I want to see more of this. And it works. It really does in the end. It really, really works. And I think, honestly, people that may not understand, they need to sit down and at least watch a couple of episodes. Watch an episode when The Perfect Pair comes out on Discovery Family, probably within the next month or so, they need to sit down and watch that episode. And if it's still available at various uploading, streaming sites, wherever, have them sit down and watch it there if they can get that site on their television or their Kindle or their iPad or their Android or whatever. Have them watch the episode. And and I guarantee that once they watch it, they'll probably get a better understanding. They probably will. Because I think that's the one element. I think that's the one element, that's the one piece of the puzzle that's missing from anybody that still questions why. I mean, like I said, my oldest sister it's like I said on the MLP forums, my oldest sister may have accepted the fact that I'm a fan, but she still finds it kind of strange, even though people will defend my fandom, my liking of the show, and be like, hey, that's their business, leave it be. I get, my oldest sister still even though she's accepted the fact that I'm a fan, she still finds it kind of strange because I don't think she's sat down yet and watched an episode or so to really get an understanding as to why. And here's the thing, I know she's not the only one. There are many out there. There are many family and friends, relatives and all that of people like Silverquill, Huey Toonmore, Vega, Lightning Bliss, Firebrand, Josh Scorcher, Sapphire, if you will, Ink Rose, you name it. There is a lot of relatives and friends of theirs that may not understand why they like a show originally intended for young kids. But I feel that if they were shown certain episodes like I mentioned earlier, they'd probably get an understanding. They'd probably accept, hey, this show's better than we thought. Hey, this show actually has episodes and morals and messages in it that are more mature, I should say, easy for me to say, are more mature than the original intended audience could probably understand or accept. So when I ask that question of, do you still have people questioning you as to why you like this show, I think the honest answer we would have to give them is here. check these episodes out is to give them a list. Give them a list of 5 episodes, maybe 10 episodes, whatever. Ask them to check them out, or ask them to watch these episodes, check them out, and I guarantee, in my opinion, I can almost guarantee, in my opinion, even though they still may not understand, in the end, even though they still may not understand, they'll have a better understanding. In other words, they still may not get why you're a fan, but by watching the episodes that you list off for them to watch, they may have a more respectable understanding. Like, they may not get it yet, but they'll be like, okay, I can see why. Like I said, if you give them a list that contains episodes like Main Attraction, Sisterhood Social, maybe The Perfect Pair, if they could watch it early or wait till it comes on Discovery Family. Amending Fences. I guarantee, in my opinion, they may not still get why you like it. They may not still fully understand, but a part of them will start respecting why you like it, because they'll see that there are stories and episodes in the series that have morals, messages, and all that will go over the head of the original intended audience. Especially if you watch The Perfect Pair, that itself will go over the head of the originally intended audience. No doubt. But in my opinion, the reason people still question as to why we like it, still question why certain adults, if not a majority of adults, like this show. The reason I still think people ask that question even to this day, even after many have admitted why, or admitted to liking it, is because they haven't given the show a chance itself. They haven't watched the episodes themselves to fully understand, oh, this is why. Because you see, in my opinion, the way they're viewing it is they're viewing it through the eyes of that young intended audience. They're not seeing it for what the adults see it. I mean, yes, it's nice to go out and collect figures and all that. Collect figures from, distributed by Funko and Hasbro. It's nice to go out and collect, the plush figures and all that by Fourth Dimension and Hasbro. It's nice to go out and get the books, the CDs, the art books and all that. It's nice to do all that because, being fans, we want to have some memorabilia of the show, of the franchise. But the truth is, even though that's great, the reason we became fans is because of the stories that are given to us in these episodes. I mean, Firebrand said it himself. The number one episode for him in his top 10 personal list was Sisterhood Social. And it became a very personal episode. It's the reason he became a brony. It's the reason he became a brony, because the episode connected with him on a personal level. It connected with him on a personal level. And when an episode does that, even if it's an episode from a show intended for younger kids, that's saying something. Because sometimes younger kids, like I said, they will not get the messages. All they see the episode for is what the next toy will be, or what will the next accessory or figure be in the toy lineup. And look, I'm not denying that. I grew up in the 80s when G1 My Little Pony and G1 Transformers and G1 G.I. Joe were out, and Gem G1, if they ever do a rebooted Gem, were out. Well, they actually have done a rebooted Gem, and that's in the comics, but anyway, as well as with the poorly accepted movie. But anyway, the thing is, I was like that too. My sisters and I were like that too. We didn't see the messages that were probably put out by some of the shows, even though they didn't really have much messaging at the time. We didn't get sometimes the story. All we saw was, ooh, that's the next toy. I want that. Ooh, that's the next toy. I want that. We didn't see whatever messages were given. We didn't see them for what they, for what they had. You know what I'm saying? We didn't see them. We didn't see the messages or the story for what it was. All we saw was the next toy figure we wanted in our collection, or we wanted to buy and play with. But nowadays, and of course, 30 plus years later, not much has changed. But the point I'm saying is this: now, as kids that grew up in the 80s and the 90s and all that, we have a better understanding. And now when we see certain episodes from a show like Friendship is Magic that's originally intended for young girls and young boys, it's like, holy crap. I can't believe they went with this kind of a story, or they went with that message, or they went with that kind of a lesson. We as adult fans that grew up in the 80s and the 90s can't believe how mature certain stories and stuff can be when it comes to a show like Friendship is Magic. And yet, you have that younger generation, that original target audience, that don't see that. All they see is what the next toy is, or the next pony they want to get, and the toy to play with. That's all they see. They don't notice, they don't understand the message or the moral that gets thrown out there. We as adults do. So that's why when we see episodes like The Main Attraction, The Perfect Pair, Sisterhood Social, Amending Fences, Hearthbreakers, you name it, when we see these episodes, we understand the message. We accept it. We're like, I get it. This is good. We get the understanding. We get the messages. When it comes to the pulp culture cameos and references, we get them. We get those pop culture references and cameos. We get them. And the big difference is, even though we get them, the original intended audience doesn't, because all they see is the next pony they want to play with. The point I'm getting at is, the reason, like I said, the reason why other adult fans, maybe the reason other adults, adolescents, you name it, may not get why we as adults are fans of this, why there's an adult fan base and community out there, why there's communities called Bronies and Pegasisters, why there are My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, conventions in places like the Bay Area and in the Midwest and in the East Coast and the West Coast and Southwest and Northeast and in the UK, in Australia, you name it, is because they haven't given the show a chance. They still look at it, probably from the eyes of the younger kids, as nothing but a toy show meant for younger kids. They haven't given it a chance on their own to sit back, watch certain episodes and kind of be like, okay, I can see now why. I can understand now why adult fans like this. I can understand why my older brother likes it. So I can understand why, my uncle likes this. Or I can understand why my older sister or my aunt likes this. Or I can understand why my grandfather likes this or my grandma likes it. I can understand why. Because they will see the episode and they will see the message and the moral of the story that will go over the head of the young kids and young boys and girls that the show is meant to be targeted at. It'll go over their heads, but it won't go over the heads of the adult fans. Because the episodes and the stories involved will be so personally well done that you feel an attachment to them, because you can understand, and maybe from a personal experience, where they're coming from. That is why, in closing, I'll say it again. For those adult fans that may not understand, you got to give them a list of episodes to watch. Give them a list of episodes to where they will sit back and say, hey, okay, you basically give them a list of episodes to watch so that they can sit back and go like, okay, I'll watch this. I'll see if this changes my mind in any way. Because I almost feel in my heart, in my opinion, I almost feel that once they do that, once you do that, once you give your family member or your friend a list of episodes for them to watch, that they may not totally get it yet, but they'll have a better understanding for why you like it, and they'll have a better respect for why you like it. And in my personal opinion, list down certain episodes you feel that they'll connect with, that they'll get an understanding as the message probably going over the head of the original and target audience. But in my opinion, I believe for those that still question why, that's the best solution. So let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. And I will talk to y'all later. God bless. Take care. And I'm out.